Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Podcast. Today is Thursday, December 5th, 2019. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college basketball, NBA, and NHL games. Look ahead to tonight's slate in each of those sports. Thursday night football, Cowboys-Bears. A huge baseball story that broke after I recorded the podcast in terms of a team being for sale. And that same team made a minor move today, and a team in their own division signed away a free agent that they previously had. And also my best bet of the day. Okay, we're going to start with college basketball. Go over yesterday's results and look ahead to tonight's slate, which is very, very short. Number 23, Villanova over Penn, 80-69. Nova 6-2, Penn 5-4. Number 21, Tennessee over Florida A&M, 72-43. Tennessee 7-1, A&M 0-7. Colgate over Binghamton, 82-74. Colgate 6-3, Binghamton 4-5. Akron over Marshall, 85-73. Akron 6-2, Marshall 2-5. Morehead State over IUPUI, 56-51. Morehead 5-4, IUPUI 2-7. Youngstown State over Robert Morris, 81-70. Youngstown 5-4, Robert Morris 2-8. Xavier over Green Bay, 84-71. Xavier 8-1, Green Bay 3-5. UConn over Iona, 80-62. UConn 6-2, Iona 2-3. New Hampshire over Maine Maritime Academy, 91-37. New Hampshire's 5-4 on the year now. Radford over James Madison, 94-71. Radford 3-4. JMU 5-4. Loyola Maryland over Delaware State, 84-76. Loyola Maryland 5-4. Delaware State 1-9. Evansville over Western Illinois, 90-86. Evansville 6-3. Western Illinois 2-6. East Tennessee State over the Citadel, 96-84. East Tennessee State 8-1. Citadel 3-5. Coastal Carolina over Greensboro, 114-79. Coastal's 5-4. Georgia over NC Central, 95-59. Georgia 6-2, NC Central 2-7. South Carolina over UMass 84-80. South Carolina 6-3, UMass 5-4. Duquesne over VMI 71-58. Duquesne 7-0, VMI 3-7. George Washington over Boston University 64-63. George Washington 4-5, BU 3-6. FIU over Florida Gulf Coast 71-53. Florida International 6-3. Gulf Coast 2-9. UNC Greensboro over Kennesaw State 72-54. Greensboro 7-2. Kennesaw 0-7. FAU over Canisius, 62-59. FAU 5-4, Canisius 4-4. Brown over Merrimack, 82-55. Brown 5-3, Merrimack 5-5. Towson over Morgan State, 76-59. Towson 4-4, Morgan 3-7. Toledo over Cleveland State, 80-65. Toledo 6-2, Cleveland State 4-5. Ohio over Rio Grande, 90-51. Ohio 6-3. St. Francis, Pennsylvania over Lehigh, 77-69. St. Francis 4-4, Lehigh 3-6. Northeastern over Maine, 78-63. Northeastern 5-4, Maine 2-3. Sacred Heart over UMass Lowell, 89-86. Sacred Heart 5-4, UMass Lowell 4-6. NCAT over Lakewood, 52-41. A&T 3-1, Longwood 4-5. Purdue Fort Wayne over Eastern Illinois, 74-69. Purdue Fort Wayne 6-5. Eastern Illinois 4-4. Big Ten ACC Challenge, Purdue over number 5 Virginia, 69-40. Purdue 5-3. Virginia suffers their first loss there, 7-1. Georgia Tech over Nebraska, 73-56. I was way off on this game. Georgia Tech performed. Nebraska did not. Georgia Tech 4-2. Nebraska 4-4. Number 3 Maryland over Notre Dame, 72-51. Maryland 9-0. Notre Dame 6-2. Drexel over Princeton, 82-76. Drexel 5-4. Princeton 1-6. Army over NJIT, 75-65. Army 4-3. NJIT 2-6. Yale over Albany, 61-52. Yale 7-3. Albany 5-4. UC Davis over Northern Arizona, 85-66. UC Davis 3-5. Northern Arizona 3-2. Tulane over Southern Miss, 61-56. Tulane 7-1. Southern Miss 2-7. Tulsa over Arkansas Pine Bluff, 72-39. Tulsa 7-1. Pine Bluff 1-6. UMKC loses at Iowa State, 79-61. Iowa State 5-3, UMKC 5-5. Utah over BYU 102-95 in overtime. That looks like an NBA score in regulation. Utah 6-2, BYU 6-4. I was right about that game. Southern Illinois over Norfolk State 76-59. Southern Illinois 4-5, Norfolk 3-7. Georgetown over Oklahoma State 81-74. I knew that line was big. I think I said on this podcast that Georgetown was live. I don't remember if I did, but I did not pick them to win outright, although I should have. Georgetown's now 5-3. Oklahoma State suffers their first loss. They're 7-1. Grambling over Paul Quinn 79-69. Grambling 4-4. Houston over Texas State 68-60. Houston 4-2. Texas State 6-3. UL Monroe over Millsaps 86-63. UL Monroe's 4-2. Troy over North Alabama 71-63. Troy 3-6. North Alabama 4-5. Chicago State over SIU Edwardsville 89-81. Chicago State 4-6. SIU Edwardsville 2-7. DePaul over Texas Tech 65-60 in overtime. A great win for DePaul to remain undefeated at 9-0. Texas Tech drops to 5-3. Probably the most disappointing team in the Big 12 so far. Number 9 Gonzaga over Texas Southern 101-62. Gonzaga 9-1. Texas Southern 2-6. Marquette over Jacksonville 75-56. Marquette 6-2. Jacksonville 4-6. Northern Colorado over Northern New Mexico 92-47. Northern Colorado is 4-4. Air Force over Wyoming 86-77. I was wrong about this game. Air Force 4-5. Wyoming 3-6. I thought Wyoming was going to win this outright, but they did not. New Mexico over Boise State 80-78. This was a close game. New Mexico ends up winning. They're 8-2. Boise's 4-3. So Boise ended up covering. Weber State over Utah Valley 72-67. Weber 2-5. Utah Valley 4-6. San Diego State over Colorado State 79-57. A good win for San Diego State. They're 9-0. Colorado State 6-4. NC State over Wisconsin 69-54. Big Ten ACC Challenge. NC State wins by double digits like I thought. They're 6-2. Wisconsin's 4-4. Penn State over Wake Forest 76-54. Penn State wins big. They're 7-1. Wake is 5-4. The most impressive result of the night goes to the number 6 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, who went into Cameron Indoor, the Dean Smith Center. Number 7 North Carolina. They defeat them 74-49. Very impressive. Ohio State's unbeaten at 8-0. North Carolina 6-2. Dwayne Washington Jr. had a fantastic game in that game. Number 20 Colorado over Loyola Marymount 76-64. This was a close game late, but Colorado pulled away. They're 7-0, and Marymount is 3-5. Number 22 Washington over Eastern Washington 90-80. Washington 7-1. Eastern Washington 4-3. Washington State over Idaho 78-65. Wazoo 4-4, Idaho 3-6. UNLV over Fresno State 81-80 in double overtime. UNLV 4-6, Fresno 2-5. I think I picked UNLV to cover, but they end up winning outright in double overtime. Cal State Northridge over Portland 71-64. Northridge 2-7, Portland 6-2. Pacific over Cal State Fullerton 62-59. Pacific 8-3, Fullerton 3-6. Nevada over Santa Clara 98-67. Nevada 6-3. Santa Clara 8-2. Cal Baptist over UC Riverside 79-67. Cal Baptist 4-4. Riverside 6-3. San Francisco over Cal 76-64. San Francisco 8-2. Cal 5-3. And last but not least, Utah State over San Jose State 71-59. Utah State 8-1. San Jose State 3-6. Small slate tonight in college basketball. 7 o'clock, St. Francis, Brooklyn, Hartford, Howard Hampton, Alon High Point. 8 o'clock, Louisiana Tech, Mississippi State, Central Arkansas, Wichita State, Oklahoma, North Texas. 8:30, Southeast Missouri State, Abilene Christian. 9 o'clock, SEC Network, Furman at number 14, Auburn. 10 o'clock, South Dakota State and Montana State. And Northern Illinois at St. Mary's. Best pick, I'm going to lay the 12.5 with Auburn. I just think that this team's on a roll. Anything under 15 with Auburn against a mid-major, take it. They've been crushing everybody. They're the best team in the SEC so far this season. I was tempted to lay the 6 with Oklahoma, but I don't know if I have the balls to do it. It's a true road game for them, and this might be North Texas' Super Bowl, for crying out loud. I hate betting on road teams in mid-major-esque type of games like Oklahoma's in tonight, because sometimes it bites me in the ass. But I think I had North Carolina at Wofford last year. That did not bite me in the ass. I think North Carolina won that game by double digits. But anyway, I'm laying the 12.5 with Auburn. I think they're better than Furman, and they should win this game by 17 points. tonight. Now we'll move on to the NBA. We're going to look through last night's slate and look ahead to tonight's slate. Only 4 games. Hornets over the Warriors 106-91. The Hornets are 9-14. Golden State 4-19. Bucks over the Pistons 127-103. Bucks 19-3. Detroit 8-14. Magic over the Suns 128-114. Orlando 10-11. Phoenix 9-11. Celtics over the Heat 112-93. So I get my best bet right. I should have flat out actually betted them, but I took North Carolina instead as the thing I really put it on last night. Other than this, I regret that. Boston's 15-5. Miami's 15-6. Nets over the Hawks 130-118. Brooklyn 11-10. They're over 500 now. Atlanta's 5-17. Pacers over the Thunder 107-100. Pacers 14-7. Oakland 8-12. Or Oklahoma City. Bulls over the Grizzlies 106-99. Chicago 8-14. Memphis 6-15. Mavericks over the Timberwolves 121-114. Mavs 15-6. Minnesota 10-10. Lakers over the Jets 121-96. Impressive back-to-back road wins for the Lakers 19-3. Utah 12-10. Blazers over the Kings 127-116. Portland 9-13. Sacramento 8-12. So Portland looks like they're turning their season around. Only 4 games on the docket tonight. 7 o'clock, 76ers at the Wizards. 7:30 Nuggets at the Knicks. NBA TV Rockets Raptors. 8 o'clock Suns Pelicans. So no TNT doubleheader tonight. So that's pretty interesting. If I had to pick a best bet on the board. The Raptors have been so good to me, but I was so upset when they didn't come through for me the other night against Miami. So, where do I go now? Do I lay the 9 with Denver against a Knicks team that is probably going to fire their coach any day? Do I take a home dog in the Wizards that can potentially keep it close with Philly? Or do I take the Pelicans knowing that the Suns are on the second of a back-to-back? I'm going to lay the 9 with the Nuggets on the road at the Knicks. I don't feel super bad because it's the Nuggets' first game on the East Coast. But watch, I'm going to bet Denver and the Nuggets will win, but the Knicks will end up covering the number. So, best bet, Nuggets -9 at the Knicks. I think they probably win this game by double digits. Knicks fans will be booing and chanting Fire Fizdale from the Raptors and sell the team because some of them are Met fans and just saw the latest news with them. So I could just totally see the Garden being a mess tonight of Knicks fans chanting sell the team and chanting Fire Fizdale and yada yada. So I'm giving the Nuggets -9. I can't believe it. This number single digits, 13-5 against 4-17. Give me a break. Give me the Nuggets. Do I feel strongly about it? No. Because normally when I bet against the Knicks on this show, which I have several times on the podcast, it bit me in the ass. I think I did that when I took San Antonio opening night. Knicks backdoored them. I took the Celtics against them on a Friday night. Knicks kept that competitive. But the one time I did take the Knicks as my best bet of the show, they did win outright as a 7.5-point underdog at home against the Mavs. Well, let's face it. I thought they were winning that game because you knew that Porzingis was going to be rattled in his return to New York, and that's exactly what happened, and I proved to be right. And I think the other one I took New York was they were getting points at home against the Chicago Bulls, and they won that game outright as well. So I guess those are the 2 times I actually took the Knicks as best bet, and it came through for me. NHL, looking back on last night's small slate and looking ahead to tonight's slate, the Avs beat the Maple Leafs 3-1 in the trade bowl, as I like to call it, because the Nazem Kadri, Tyson Barrie deal happened over the summer, and they played against each other for the first time since the deal. Colorado 17-8-2, Toronto 13-13-4. Pens over the Blues 3-0, good win for Pittsburgh. 15-9-4, St. Louis 18-6-6. Sends over to Oilers 5-2. Ottawa 12-16-1. Edmonton 17-10-3. So a surprise upset for Ottawa. Caps over to Kings 3-1. Capitals 21-4-5. LA 11-16-2. Tonight's slate's pretty big. 7 o'clock. Rangers Blue Jackets. Blackhawks Bruins. Avs Canadiens. Obviously notable. Artemi Panarin returning to Columbus. He's going to get heavily booed. And then Blackhawks Bruins, obviously, battle of teams that were in the Stanley Cup Final against each other a few years ago. And then obviously original sixes. Avs, Canadiens, nothing special really there. Wild Lightning. Golden Knights, Islanders. Do the Islanders bounce back after that loss? Coyotes, Flyers. Coyotes playing well, so are the Flyers. Sharks, Hurricanes. Both those teams are playing pretty well. San Jose, especially after the slow start. 8:30 Jets, Stars. Jets are playing very well right now. Stars are kind of up and down. 9 o'clock Sabres, Flames. Sabres falling apart after the hot start. Calgary starting to get it together a little bit after some in-house turmoil with their coach. Best bet, Columbus. According to everything, they're actually favored in this game. As I don't want to say they really should be because I think the Rangers are the better team and have been playing a little better than Columbus lately. But Columbus is minus 141. I think that Panarin's going to get rattled. I think that there's a chance that this is the Blue Jackets Super Bowl in my mind. And because it's the return of Panarin, I talked about Porzingis returning to New York and how I just knew the Knicks were winning that game even though they were a dog. Kind of have the same feeling. Rangers have been playing a little better lately, but I really, really like Columbus's chances. I think they win this by multiple goals. Henrik Lundqvist has been kind of shaky lately in net, although he had that hot run, but he sucked against Vegas. So give me Columbus tonight to win their Super Bowl, as I would like to call it here, and the return of Artemi Panarin. And normally when Stars return home, it doesn't go well, and that's in all sports. You see that with John Tavares. He's 0-3 at the Islanders since he left. And I think it could be similar to Tavares, probably not as bad because Tavares left New York. Panarin just left Columbus. There's a difference between leaving New York and leaving Columbus. So give me the Blue Jackets tonight, minus 141 on the money line. I wanted to bet it on the goal line, plus 185. But I think there's a chance that the Rangers pull the goalie and they score one late to make it a one-goal game. So I'll just play it safe, take it on the money line against the Rangers tonight. Now I'm going to talk about the sale of the New York Mets. Yes, that is true. It's a big stunner. Jeff Wilpon and Fred Wilpon are essentially selling their stake in the New York Mets to somebody who has 4% stake in the team, and that's Mike Cohen, who will eventually become the majority guy there, and he'll have 80% of the team. And this is all going to be within 5 years. Obviously, if this falls through, it's going to be a shame, but this is just great news if you're a Mets fan, because the Wilpons have been terrible. You could argue that they're worse than James Dolan and John Mara at this point. Well, John Mara has become one of the worst owners in New York over the past couple of years because he's hired Dave Gettleman, kept Jerry Reese too long. You can name all the bad decisions the Giants have made. And Christopher Johnson with the Jets is right up there too among bad New York owners. Nobody talks about Christopher Johnson because he's the Jets owner. But the Wilpons were always talked about because they would just be cheap for years and years and years and years. And now they're finally selling their stake of the team. And Cohen, for what we know, is a very rich guy. And he's somebody that really may attract free agents. And maybe the Mets will be a big spender. So you never know. Hopefully it works out for them. And obviously this came minutes after it was announced that Zach Wheeler had signed a 5-year, $118 million contract with the Philadelphia Phillies. This is a signing that doesn't surprise me all that much, but I can't believe he got a lot of money. I did predict that he was going to end up with a lot of money, and it's just crazy. Like, I don't think Zach Wheeler is an ace. He got paid like a number 2 starter, and I think he's more of like a number 3 or number 4. He'd be the number 2 in Philly's rotation right now, behind Aaron Nola. And then, obviously, Jake Arrieta's in the last year of his deal, but he's not the Jake Arrieta from 2015 with the Cubs. And then they have some other young guys in their rotation that have not really found their way yet, like Nick Pivetta and Zach Eflin. They really are banking on those guys to make major jumps. And then Vince Velasquez was promising, and then he really hasn't worked out, and they moved him to the bullpen, I believe, last year. So a very interesting signing for the Philadelphia Phillies. Obviously, that team underachieved a year ago. They have Joe Girardi in there now. I thought that they were going to land a big name this offseason because of the presence of Bryce Harper there and Joe Girardi, and that owner is one that's willing to spend money and wants to win. The Phillies haven't won since 2008. They haven't made the playoffs since 2011. So the pressure is really on this team to make the playoffs this upcoming year. And that division's wide open because Nationals might lose Strasburg and Rendon. The Braves are still good, but they weren't even the best team in their own division this year. The Nationals won the World Series. I mean, the Braves just lost to the Cardinals like 15-0 in Game 5 this past October. And then they made some interesting moves. They brought back a lot of pieces. They brought in Cole Hamels to replace Dallas Keuchel as like the veteran guy in their rotation. They added Will Smith to improve their bullpen. They added Travis d'Arnaud to be the platoon catcher to go with Tyler Flowers. So they've made some interesting moves. I think that there's a chance that the Marlins make a surprise signing or trade or two. They already made trades for Jonathan Villar and Jesus Aguilar, who will be their probably shortstop and first baseman going in the next year. They'll probably put Villar at shortstop because they have that nice prospect at second base that they got from Milwaukee in the Yelich deal. And at third base, they have that kid Brian Anderson, who had a lot of home runs this past season. And then Jesus Aguilar, maybe he bounces back with them and maybe they use him as a trade piece at the deadline. They have a need at, in the outfield, although they have some prospects there. And it's to be determined whether they work out. Lewis Brinson obviously has not panned out to what they expected to be. They have a catcher, Jorge Alfaro, that they got in the Realmuto deal last year from Philadelphia. And that's another guy that they have, the Phillies, that's a big name. And obviously the Mets, who finished hot at the end of last season. And they haven't done anything yet other than make a trade today for Jake Marisnick. That's a minor trade. They sent 2 prospects over to Houston, 2 lower-level prospects that aren't even in their top 30. So I think it's a good trade for the Mets for a 4th outfielder that's going to come in and be a defensive replacement. I still think they're in play to trade for somebody like Pittsburgh Starling Marte or somebody of that nature. Maybe Lorenzo Cain's available from the Brewers, even though that's a little expensive. So I do think there's a chance the Mets trade for a real center fielder. But I think that Marisnick's going to be the number 4 guy that comes in late in the game for defense, similar to how Houston used him last year. Now I'm going to pick tonight's game in the NFL between the Cowboys and the Bears. 8:20 on Fox. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, Christina Pink on the call. Should be a fun game between these two teams, but ugly at the same time. Obviously, the Cowboys have not played well over the past couple of weeks, and their head coach is getting a lot of heat because of it. And the Bears obviously have won a couple games in a row to get themselves back to 500. Mitch Trubisky played a little bit better, led the Bears to the game-winning drive the other day on Thanksgiving against a bad Lions defense. My straight up pick for the game, I'm going to say the Cowboys win this game 20-17, but my play for this game is under 43. I think that is a no-brainer. The Bears' defense is good. Their offense stinks. I know the overhit in the last game, but the overhit because the Lions had 2 fluke drives to open the game, and the Lions' defense stinks. The Cowboys' defense does not really stink. Well, it stunk against the Bills for whatever reason, but it won't stink against the Bears. I think their defense bounces back a little bit. I think that the Bears' offensive line stinks, and I think that DeMarcus Lawrence can have a big game. So, Cowboys win by 3, so I think it's going to be a push. But my play here is under 43 for the game, as the Cowboys will go to 7-6, and Chicago will essentially fly out the playoff picture, drop to 6-7, and there's going to be a lot of, will Matt Nagy get fired? Is Trubisky done? Types of situations, just like the last few weeks when they were losing. And now my best bet of the day, brought to you by DraftKings. We're going to go to college basketball. First, we are going to take Hampton over Howard. We're going to take Auburn over Furman. St. Mary's over Northern Illinois. These are all obviously on the money line. Then we'll go to the NBA. We'll take the Sixers at the Wizards, the Nuggets at the Knicks, and then we'll go to the NHL. I feel really good about Columbus beating the Rangers tonight, but I'm not going to put them on the parlay. I'm going to put Boston over the Blackhawks, Tampa Bay over Minnesota, and Calgary over Buffalo. So that's a shade above 6-1. Let's wager $2, payout $14.13. That's it for the podcast today. I'll be back later tonight at, I believe, 2 hours from now. I'm going to have Sean Verma on, as we'll talk about the MLB winter meetings, the NFL, and go talk about a little NHL and NBA, the 2 Toronto teams that he is big fans of. And then Doug Saravo tonight on his takes on John Hines being fired from the Devils, the Mets sale, the rest of MLB winter meetings. We'll talk football with him as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.